Hello, beautiful souls, and welcome back to the Akashic Bec podcast. I am Akashic Bec, and I'm so excited to have another episode of Medicine, Mystics, and Messengers. And I cannot wait to introduce you to this wonderful soul that I have with me today. It's just so amazing to catch up with everybody, and I'll explain that in a minute. So please welcome Doctress Monica Nicole. Welcome, Monica, or Mo.
Hi, everyone.
Yes, it's so good to have you here. How are you?
I am doing great. Thank you for having me here. It's good to see each other face to face again
I
after some
know.
time.
After some time, yes. So the way that Monica and I met each other was I did a past life regression session for her, and it was I'm not going to share the details, but it was powerful. Can I just say that was a very memorable session for I think both of us, but
Yes,
it was powerful.
very much so. Very much so. It was a catalyst to a lot of how I started to transition within my life and my business too. So, yes.
Fabulous. Awesome. Well, speaking of which, please introduce yourself. Tell everyone about you, what you do, who you are, and any other details you want to share.
Well, hello, everyone. I'm Doctress Monica Nicole, and I am a subconscious strategist and rewriter where I work with my clients to help them go through the process of shifting their nervous system and their subconscious to create the life that they deserve and they love and they want. I am the founder of the Butterfly Effect School of Transformation, where I host high achieving women who are seeking community information and knowledge to help them with the creation of their life. So, not just helping them rewrite their subconscious, but providing them with the tools and the information to help them with the foundation of it. So, I'm just here living in purpose, okay?
Yes, she is. She answered that call. She showed up as she sips her tea.
Thank you for putting the call out. Look, it has some hibiscus and ginger going. I absolutely
Oh,
love it.
oh my gosh, that sounds incredible. That sounds so nourishing.
Yes.
Yes. Okay, so I have to ask you this question because you have to share this with everyone. Tell everybody where you are located.
So I am currently in Brazil. So the end of last year, I started on a full-time digital nomad journey where I decided I was ready to just live around the world. Um, I feel very expansive. And I feel like even with my past life regression session, it opened up a lot of my relationship with South America and Central America. And so I'm currently in Brazil. I've been here for almost a month. I'm in Sao Paulo now. So it's a little bit more reserved than Rio de Janeiro, where I was originally at. And it was for Carnival, it was something, okay? But
Yeah.
I absolutely love it here. I love the culture. I love the connection, and it feels very ancestral being here. So,
Mm.
and I'm here trying to learn Portuguese now.
Wow. Oh my gosh, I can't even imagine. That is amazing. And I love how you said it was ancestral. Like, oh my gosh, it's like there's just so much energy just coursing through the land and through the people and just in the culture. Oh my God, I can only imagine. It was like probably sensory overload, probably
Very much
prepared to live in
so.
here.
Very much so, because it's embedded in their culture. So if you're
Right.
outside, you'll see it like within the culture, it's a natural thing. And most times, I know for back home, it's sometimes a little bit more of a closed practice. But even here, even if it's, they're religious, they still connect to their ancestors too. It's not something where they separate them both. And so that's something that I've loved to see since I've been down in South America.
Oh my gosh, yes. It's like truly a way of life. It's not a new concept for them, and I love that. And it makes it like that much more that much more rich and meaningful, I feel like.
Yes, it's a lifestyle. It's not
Right.
just an aesthetic or something that they're doing, but it's a part of their life.
That's amazing. I love that. And I love that you get to witness that. You just like you get to go outside and it's right there in your face. That's so cool.
Very much so. Sometimes I still be in like a shock where I'm just like, I'm really here right now. Like, this is reality right now.
Yeah. Well, and I just feel like we all we get that way sometimes. We go throughout our life, we have our daily routine and whatever, and we have our communities, and we just sometimes forget. It's like we know there's a whole world outside of this, but sometimes we also forget. And there's
Mhm.
just I mean, it's so expansive if you think about it.
Very much so. I feel like even spiritually, me being able to connect within the different cultures and the different communities and spaces has been helping me when it comes to even with like my nervous system and me connecting to the spiritual realm and understanding that it's so vast, and sometimes we can put these limitations on it.
Yeah.
And so I feel like it's been opening me up even more to be even more open-minded and understanding of things. And so I love how it's feel like I'm in a world school right now. Like I'm in school,
Yeah,
but it's a world education.
absolutely. And yes, I would definitely describe you as worldly for sure. I feel like that's like the ultimate compliment. I was like, if somebody called me worldly, I'd be like, I mean, thank you.
Look, it's something that we have to get used to because growing up, that was used to be, they called you worldly. It was a bad thing. And it was just like,
Right.
wait,
And it's not.
no.
Yes, it's so not. Like, oh my gosh, I feel like so many things open up for us when we're willing to get out of our comfort zone, you know, dive in, meet people that we wouldn't ordinarily meet. It's remarkable. And it also, I feel like it activates like different parts of our brain too.
It does. It does. That's literally what happens.
Yeah,
That's
like
literally what happens.
neuroplasticity, right?
Hmm.
Okay, so speaking of which, since we're on this track, please tell everyone about your spiritual journey. Like, what led you to where you are now?
Oh gosh, I feel like my whole life has is the journey. So I grew up very deep into the church. And so being connected and understanding that there was a, spiritual world outside of me and things of that nature was always in me. But it wasn't until it was like 2012 during my trip to Africa. What my first trip to Africa, I went to Kenya, and I remember coming back and I heard a song by Jill Scott, Take a Long Walk. And in the song, she said, at the end of one verse, we'll read Surah 31:18. Then
Yes.
in another verse, she said Revelations 3:17.
Hmm.
And I remember asking my friend, and I was like, what's Surah 31:18? She's like, oh, that's a verse in the Quran.
Hmm.
So I went and I read it, and then I read Revelations 3:17. And I'm like, all of this is very much so saying the same thing. And I realized the more questions I asked, um, the elders weren't really able to give me the answers. It was always just, oh, you'll feel it, you feel it. So I started on this journey of researching other religions and just researching everything to see what my spirit felt then. Because I always felt restricted when it came to being within my religion. I felt like I wasn't able to do this, wasn't able to do this rule, this rule, this rule. And so the more open I became to that and opened myself up to learn more, I found that, wait, I'm all things. I'm everything. I'm this, I'm that. I'm however I decide to distribute that or connect myself to it, which then took me to the sense of that shadow journey, honey. Okay, we all know the shadow period, the shadow journey, and we have multiple ones. We have multiple
Yes.
shadow journeys on this journey. And so I went through that phase of going through the shadow and looking at myself realistically, looking at my identity, how I had been identifying myself my entire life, and how now I wanted to shift into that identity. So when I think about my spiritual journey, I will say that it's a journey that's like a lifestyle that you never stop. It's always evolving, it's always growing, it's always changing as long as you don't put those stipulations and those rules and those boundaries on it and you allow yourself to continue being expansive. I feel each experience reveals another part of me and how I connect to the spirit world. And what really helped me with that was the past life regression session that I had with one of my past, I think it was the first past life we visited, and I was literally an atom.
Yeah.
I was in the
She
atom.
was
Like
literally an atom.
I was just an atom in darkness and cold. And I was looking, and I remember looking down and seeing this wizard looking person sitting on a bench under a light. And it was like this sense of wisdom. And from that, as I reflected on it even more, it was one of those where we are all literally just cells of atoms put together, and we can always be recreated the same way that our cells are always reproducing. The daughter
Yes.
cells, they're always
Yes.
changing. We
Yes.
have the ability to always transform into whatever it is that we want to transform into. And so, my spiritual journey is one that is always evolving, it's always growing, and I never stay the same. I'm also a human design reflector, so I I'm always changing depending on what that environment is or what I allow myself to sit in.
Yes. Oh my gosh, that was so amazing. And yes, I remember when you told me you were a reflector at our session, and I was like, "Look, I've never met a reflector in my life." I was such a dork. I was like, they're real, you guys, because they're so rare. Reflectors are the rarest kind of human design, and that's so cool. And so it's like you literally were. It's like everything that is within you is reflected back out, and vice versa. It's like ping pong. It's just going back and
Very much
forth.
so.
Yes, and each time it comes back, it like lights another part of you up.
And that's something that was difficult at first to get used to sit with, because I wanted to operate like a generator or like a manifester, right? Manifesting
Mhm.
generator. But I had to realize that my power is in literally allowing myself to connect within all things and just choose what I want to reflect back and how I want to reflect it and allow that to shift me. And that's why I feel being a digital nomad has been so beneficial for me within this cycle
Yeah.
in my life now, because I'm able to sample so many different environments and be like, I'm gonna stay in this environment for 3 months, or okay, I don't like here, I'm booking my flight for next week. Like, so I'm able to move around more when I'm not liking what I what's around
Right.
me.
Like like you're literally going with the flow. Like
Yes, yes. And my nervous system, that was something on this journey where I wanted to get more comfortable with, was being comfortable with being uncomfortable, being
Mhm.
comfortable with changing, with being flexible and not always having the answers, but knowing that everything always works out at the end of the day also.
Absolutely. And a lot of that has to do, like what you were saying, our nervous system and then our mindset. Like all of these things connect together. and
They really
and
do.
and it's something that, you have to commit yourself to, right? Like you can't just do it one time and it's like you have to keep showing up. You have to keep making those choices. You have to keep trusting and believing that, the next step will present itself in front of you, even if you can't see it yet.
Exactly. That neuroplasticity.
Right.
Exactly. It's like
Exactly.
a practice, because the same way of what got us to where we're at now, it was time, and it was always
Mhm.
something compounding on
Mhm.
top of each other to get us there. So when we're changing and shifting, we got to allow ourselves that time to compound, you know what I'm saying? Compound
Yeah.
exponentially for
Right.
those shifts and changes to happen. And so getting comfortable with that.
Right. But you also have to take inspired action too, because if you just like let that stuff stack up, like what are you gonna do with it? It's gonna be too heavy,
That's true.
it's just life's just gonna shove you and you don't get to make a choice.
That's very true.
Yeah.
Look at
Oh
it as
man.
like building blocks. As you're building new blocks and you run out of Legos, you just choose which building you want to deconstruct and use those Legos to build something different.
And so true, so true. And that and I just want to kind of go back a little bit to when you were talking about your story, and you said, you grew up in the church, and it sounded like you went from like consulting outside of yourself, right? Like you said, I spoke to people in the church, I spoke to the elders, and I asked them, what is this about? And then they were like, well, we don't really have an answer. It's like it's like it's constrictive. It's just like you said, the rules, they put those limitations on us on purpose, so that we don't evolve past a certain point. Because if we knew how powerful we were on the inside, like we would be unstoppable, and we would be out here just creating magic everywhere. Not like
Very
literal
true.
magic, but literal magic, if that makes sense.
Very true. But even within it, I do feel
Mhm.
that there was a benefit in it too,
Sure.
because I feel like being a part of it, it helped me understand discipline.
Right.
And even now, when I'm talking with clients and things of that nature, I may reference back to a story in the Bible, for example, because there are still truths to certain things that are being shared, and things of that
Right.
nature. But like you said, the consulting of it, of how I may view Jesus and God now, is not in the same context of what I viewed before.
Right.
And
Like
so,
the doctrine of it.
very much so, the
Right.
control of it, because it very much can be used as a sense of control, or it can be
Right.
used as a sense of empowerment and expansion.
Right. Exactly. And the Bible, like, it, it's meant to be understood through parable. Like, we're meant to the meanings that they assign to it, that these, people of power, in power, um assigned to it, it was not what it was meant to be taken as, right? Like, not literally, but understand the lesson, just like you were saying, like, what's being reflected back to me, through this message, through this story.
Mm-hmm.
And that's
Very
how.
much so.
Right, and that's how we evolve. That's how we move past it and use it the way that it was meant to be used. So, but yeah, I wanted to thank you for sharing that story. I feel like there's a lot of people who can relate to that, and maybe did come from a very religious or strict background, and showing them what is possible, like, the world is truly our oyster. We
Literally.
right. And we can show up for ourselves. It's just a matter of, like, really having the courage to do so. And I want to commend you for that, because I feel like it takes a lot of courage to be able to build your dream life, like, build the life that you want.
I had to let go of everything. And I feel like that's symbolic of what it means to recreate yourself, right? Or when you're shifting your subconscious, everything that we collect over the years, it builds up. It builds up. And like you were saying earlier, that can get heavy, right?
Right.
And so, like Erica Badu said in her song Bag Lady, we have to know how to let go of things, or be willing to let go of things, so that we can make room and space for the new, and to have space to
Mhm.
really be able to enjoy the new. And
Exactly.
so the process, I definitely will say, it took a lot of courage. And being someone who was a emotional hoarder, I feel like it was very symbolic for me to now I'm living out of two suitcases. So learning how to see what's most important for me right now. What am I collecting? What am I keeping? If I'm getting something new, I have to release something old. I can't keep everything. And
Right.
so it's creating a new sense of understanding even within me, and how my brain connects to the world and myself.
Right. That is so incredible and powerful. Um, and if you don't mind, I wanted to ask another question, because it ties into everything. What what is it like? What's tools are in your toolkit? And what were some of your tools, and what are some of your tools now in your toolkit? Like, what helps you navigate through all of this, all these changes, and um, how your life has shifted in these past couple of years?
I will say community,
Mm,
community, a therapist. I feel we always should have a therapist. Also, now I'm one of those who do more of like active meditation. So I don't do well with just sitting in silence. So I do a lot of journaling, a lot of writing. I do a lot of creating, because as a reflector, I realize, like you said, I'm just reflecting back to the world. So I realize through me reflecting on what I'm feeling or what I'm going through, someone else needs to hear that. Someone else needs to feel it. So I utilize the spaces around me, my social spaces and things of that nature, as a reflection tool in a lot of ways. Um, oh gosh, what else? Oh, I have not really been reading lately like I used to. I used to be really big into reading, but lately I've been doing more creating than consuming.
mm,
And so those are the big pieces that are in my toolbox. My active meditation through working out. Okay, so that was also in itself of me changing how I view pain and things of that nature, and learning how to transmute through that. So I've just been doing things that I hadn't done before, along with having community, having that spiritual emotional support there, well, mental health support there from my therapist, and then being unashamed with creating. That's what's in my toolkit: a pen, a paper, and a computer.
Yes, like things most of us already have that we can find readily. And I love how you said that there's no shame in creating. And I feel like that is what stifle like in the people that I speak with, I feel like that stops a lot of people in their tracks. Like they start judging what they're creating, and it just like cuts them off at the quick, and they can't move forward because of that. What would you say to somebody who was in that position? How to get past that judgment and shame?
That is a journey. And that's actually something that I'm working through with my members over on Substack. On March 1st, we're starting something called the 21-day content creation sprint. But
Ooh.
we're looking at it from the subconscious aspect and how we view content creation. And
Mhm.
so, one of the big things of what I notice when it comes to it is of us having to get through that fear of perception. But the fear of perception is honestly the judgments that we've allowed ourselves to see as being true through how much we've been consuming of the world outside of us. So
Right.
one of the first thing I always say, cut down on your consumption. Cut down, no scrolling, no just trying to see what's out. Stop it, okay? Because the consumption adds to that personal judgment that you have of yourself. You can have your person that you may go to for, laughs, or your person that you go to for your spiritual insight, right? But cut down on those things of just the scrolling and seeing, because subconsciously we're going through a comparison in that moment, and we see what they're doing and how they're showing up and how people are relating to them. And because being on social media, for example, because content creation, first off, is not just social media, it's our art, it's our websites, it's our books,
Right.
it's our poetry, it's our cooking, right? Whatever it is
Right.
that we create. And so, but one of the things that social media does to kind of keep people trapped in the consumer role versus the creator role is the likes, is the different sense of the gamification that they have, right? You
Mhm.
have to cut all of that out and realize that you're creating for you. It has to be for you. If
Yes.
you start doing it just for everyone else, you'll find yourself in a burnout. You'll find yourself in a box that you can't get out of because you've
Exactly.
created a space that is not natural to you. So whatever you do, create what you want to create, how you want to create, allow it to be messy, and cut down on the consumption. I know with my clients who I meet with, one of the first assignments I give them is give them 7 days of no consuming. No Instagram, no Facebook, no none of that. I want you to focus on every time you feel the need to want to scroll and do all that, go find and do something that you love. Go record yourself and just say whatever is on your mind in that moment, right?
Mhm.
Because you have to see it as you're creating your own world. And once you start allowing other people's worlds to come in, it starts to influence you and how you view yours and
Right.
your planet. And Neptune is not trying to be like Earth, Mars is not trying to
Well,
be
thank
like
God.
Pluto.
I don't know if I could live on Neptune. I'd be like, I'm just floating away. Sorry. That's where my brain goes.
Look, I mentioned that because I've had some sessions with clients with past lives, and they've
Mhm.
said that they've lived on other planets, but they've always said that they choose Earth. And I find that so interesting because we always say, like, oh, Earth is ghetto. I don't want to reincarnate here. Oh, okay, go live on Pluto. And then come
Right.
back next lifetime and tell me what you feel.
Go live on Pluto. Get your passport. Go to Pluto. I swear. I know. They're like, is this my last lifetime on Earth? And I'm like, I don't know. you
Look, do you want it to be? Look, you gonna make the best of it, right? Are you
Right.
gonna make the
You
best
came
of
back
it?
here for a reason, boo. That's
And
so
another
funny.
piece, even going into that, right? It makes me think about like our north nodes and our south nodes and things of that nature.
Right.
And even with our Mercury. So when it comes to being seen and how we communicate, learn how to master your Mercury. Understand what that north node and that south node is. Like as you get deeper, even into your own personal birth chart, you'll see another side of yourself. And you'll realize that sometimes we be taking life more serious than we need to. People don't be thinking about us as much as we think they are.
Right.
Like,
Right. And our guides are not that serious either. Then they tell us all the time. They're like, you need to calm down. You need to chill out.
like
Like
you're doing too
that.
much, baby.
Yes, exactly. And I want to speak on what you said about like doing what you love. Oh my gosh. This comes through so much, and this is the absolute honest truth. Do what you it doesn't matter what like you said, getting the dopamine hits off of social media with the likes and everything. It doesn't matter. It's like that it almost feels like when you're doing it for likes, you're trying to pander, right? Like you're trying to pander to a group of people, or this person that you've created in your mind that's outside of you, and you just automatically assume, and it's like they're not even thinking about you, just like you said. you know
At
so
all.
you may as well create for yourself, because at the end of the day, it's like, whose cup do you want to fill, right?
If not, that's equal to selling your soul, you know.
Mhm.
Why go from a soul-sucking job to creating content in a space that you find yourself stuck now in a niche, or in doing this, or you have to follow this. It's like you went
Right.
from one thing to the other, and it's like, don't sell your soul for that. It's better to allow your soul to be expressive in how it wants to.
Exactly. Yes. Like that, I feel like that's where freedom truly lies.
Very much so, very much so. And I know a lot of people, they're like, well, but I want to get paid. And of course. And who said you can't
Who
get
doesn't?
paid from doing it, right? I have clients
Exactly.
who find me. They've never interacted with my content online. I've never seen them in my comments, but they booked a session with me, right?
Mhm.
And it's one of those where once we remove likes and engagements and shares and all of that from the income, we allow miracles to happen. We allow things to just flow to us and come to us, because we're free. We're
Right.
free within it. So we're allowing literally ourselves to call those things into us subconsciously. And that comes with us changing how we view work and reward. A lot of times we view that, I'm doing this for a reward. And when we find ourselves in that sense of transactional relationship, even with our content, we'll find ourselves in that continued meal of, we're seeking the validation, the outcome, and the reward. But you have to see your creation as the reward. Your ability of creating is the reward, and everything else comes to you from other angles from that. There's a lot of people
Mm.
who don't even have 1,000 followers on things, and they have a full-time business. So we have to cut down on, look, you get me. So it's
Yeah.
like we have to cut down on how the world in a way keeps us stuck. And that's why I say cut down on the consumption, because the consumption will have you chasing things that takes you away from your soul.
Yes. Preach it. Love that so much. Okay, so we're kind of on the roll about the tools in the toolkit, right? I want to talk about past life regression again.
Okay.
so so if you don't mind, like sharing, and I'm sure you've had other past life regression sessions since we had ours, but like what what impact did that have on you? Like how when you came out of those, like did that solidify things for you?
That session helped with, so I had just got back from my trip in Colombia. I
Mhm.
believe it was around that time.
Mhm.
And that session, oh gosh, so much came from it. Like, where do I even start? So I actually started getting into and studying hypnotherapy and past life regressions. But going from a personal standpoint, it helped me see myself as more of an expansive energy and not just being in this box. So
Mm.
I knew from that session that I was going to be moving to South America, right?
Yeah.
That came up in our session.
It did.
But also the life lessons that came. So, for example, my life as a sunflower. I remember how emotional I got during the session as being that sunflower, and someone cut me. And I
Mhm.
was like, why did they cut me? Like, you could have just took me from the root and replanted me. Like, when you cut the
Right.
flower, like, I die after a while, right? But
Right.
seeing that, of understanding the importance of our roots and knowing that when we see flowers and things that we love, allow it the opportunity to still live while we're embracing it without being selfish and feeling like we have to cut it down and keep it to ourselves because eventually we're going to lose it, right?
Right.
And so it helped me look at life and beauty in a different way of, I can embrace and love this thing and not feel like I have to be so possessive of it and keep it just for me because
Mhm.
eventually it's going to die and fall away. And so it helped me with my attachment things. Now, do I still got to live in like, that's mine? Yes, I still got that sometimes, but I am more open and aware and allow people to be who they are. And I allow them to show me who they are. And if I realize I really don't want this plant in my house, I don't have to have that plant in my house. So it gives that freedom to operate in that way. Then my lifetime as the atom, I can never get away from that. I feel like that gave me the ultimate power of truly understanding that I know we hear a lot about what's my purpose, what's my purpose, what's my purpose, but realizing our purpose is us. Like whatever we decide to do or whatever we decide to be, you can transform into that energy or into that space. So I feel like even within that, that helped me with tapping more into just subconscious things,
Mm.
that session opened me up to being more free, even within my personal practices and how I showed up for my clients and looking at, how I still had some judgments there, I remember the lifetime I had as the frog, right? And with the frog, I was in Peru and a flood came and, killed my family, but I was able to get away. But it helped me understand how sometimes we are that the one in our bloodline who's able to experience and do things that others did not get the opportunity to do.
Mhm.
And it's so important for us to capitalize on that, to love on that, but remember the roots of where you came from, because the anecdote is in your roots. Because I remember we were
Yes.
talking about a medicine being there.
Mhm.
But the anecdote is at your roots. So don't cut off the entire thing in the flower. So even though the things that happened in the past or with your ancestors, and I know we're always talking about, I'm breaking generational curses, but we have to realize those things that happened before us is what allowed us the opportunity to be who we are now. So
Right.
if those things never existed, that would have shifted who we are and how we showed up. So it helped me even with understanding lineage and understanding generational things and understanding what it means to truly heal and save my lineage and my generation. It doesn't mean that I have to transform everyone in my family. It doesn't mean I have to be the savior for everyone in my family. It means that I need to make sure that I am treating myself with the utmost respect, the utmost love, that I am protecting myself,
Mhm.
self-preservation. And that allows me the ability to then move around to other spaces and places and be more expansive. And that doesn't take anything away from my family members or people in the past and how they were and who they were, because I am all of them wrapped in one. And so I see myself as being my ancestors' living altar.
Oh my, ooh, ooh. I love that so much. Oh my God, a living altar. Like, oh, there's so many layers to that. Like, it's not just like the phrase, it's just like, oh, what it means, like, just hits. Oh, I love that. Thank you. Thank you for sharing that. That's powerful. And yes, like I said, your session was like, it was definitely one of the most memorable ones that I've had. And I feel like too, it's like you said, about when oh, I had this whole thought. I'm still sitting with the living altar comment. It's like that really got me. But we'll just move on from whatever that was because obviously I wasn't meant to say it. But
It'll come back up.
it'll come back up. It'll come back up. But another question that I wanted to ask you is, so I find that when people want to have a session, a past life regression or whatever, there is some apprehension there, especially if they've never done one before. There's all these questions come up in their mind, like, am I going to be able to be hypnotized? Am I going to be able to go in? Am I just imagining all these things, that are coming up for me? Or did this really happen? What is your advice for somebody who maybe wants to try a past life regression, but they're very, very nervous about it?
I will say first, if the idea has come to you as something that you want to do, then you are being called to do it. So that's the first thing. Don't question if it's for you. If it came into your auric field and you're like, let me look, it is something that your spirit is calling for, and there's something that will be revealed. But in the regards to the fear of can I be hypnotized? Can I go under? That is very normal. Very, very normal, right? Because we see the fun hypnotists who, bark like a dog and do all this. So subconsciously we've had these different definitions of what it means to be hypnotized or to go under. So we have to allow ourselves to remove those perceptions of what being in hypnotherapy really means or what it means to go under when it comes to the session, because you're very aware of what happens, but you are so relaxed and
Mhm.
so in tune that things just start coming out. And so for those who oftentimes find themselves in their head a lot, for example, I know in the sessions you may ask, like, what do you see? Right? And you're
Right.
like, I don't see anything. It's just, of realizing that in those sessions, what you see, what you feel, what you think, and what you hear are all the same thing.
Right.
It's nothing different. So you may not see anything, but a thought came to you.
Right.
That thought is what you see. And you have to
Right.
get comfortable with that, especially if you're not big into doing meditations and things of that nature already. It's something that you get better the more you do it. And so even with you, so you were my second past life regression session. I haven't had another one since you,
Oh,
but my
wow.
first was I did a YouTube one.
Mhm.
And that one revealed, oh my gosh, that was a powerful one as well, right? But I realized that I wanted to sit with a person, right? I wanted to be in the presence of someone to go through that process. But I feel like me being in that first one, it helped prepare me for it. It helped me really see, okay, let me get out of my mind. Let me get out of my head, because it can be easy for us to be so stuck on, I want to see it. I want to see it. I want to see it. Just release all of the expectations and allow yourself to be tapped in with your body, with what you feel, what you think, and what you see. Because the more you allow yourself to tap in with what you're feeling and what you're thinking, the visions become brighter. The visions
Mhm.
become clearer the longer you're in it and you allow yourself to just be present in that moment.
Absolutely. And yes, I love how you said that you did like one on off of YouTube, like you did an online one before you actually went and had one done, because I actually recommend that to people who
Oh.
come to me and they're like, I'm just not sure. I'm kind of on the fence about it. And I mean, it's a great start. It's a great practice, right? Because it'll show you where your resistance lies, right? Um,
Mm-hmm.
and then makes you a little bit more comfortable about the process itself.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm. That's
Exactly, exactly. But I definitely recommend doing one with the person as well.
mhm,
But yes, if you are new to it, just do a quick session just to get your body used to being in that space.
mhm,
And I will say I felt the past life that I had from my YouTube, but it was very much so more powerful having someone asking me questions as I'm talking through what I'm feeling. And I feel like that helps as well with
mhm.
having someone there to ask questions to go deeper into what it is that you're experiencing.
Right. And let me ask you this. This is a little subset question. Um, because I had a conversation with a couple of other past life regressionist practitioners just recently actually, and we were talking about how it's important that people who do this kind of therapy, like hypnosis therapy, any kind of therapy, but that they have being trauma informed and trauma trained. And what is your take on that?
Very much so, because things can come up in sessions where a lot of trauma can come up in sessions where I've had that happen where they had an experience of going through assault,
Mhm.
and those feelings become real because you're in that lifetime, you're in that moment. And so they could be having that trauma exposure in that moment. So you being able to talk them through that, to guide them through that, but then also be aware of the questions that you're asking and
Mhm.
how you're asking those questions is very important, because if not, someone can spiral from a session. They can leave a session and be in a place where they're just like, oh my gosh, I don't trust anything. I don't want to do this. The whole world is
Right.
after me, right?
Right.
And that psychosis is very much so able to happen from those moments. So I very much so believe that having that practice and that background of being able to de-escalate, if anything, or asking the right questions to help them process through what is happening so that there is a resolution
Right.
in what is happening, and to never leave it open, never leave the lifetime open, close the lifetime. So one thing that I
Yes.
do, I guide them to where the energy is at in their body.
Mhm.
And they always, as soon as we say that, they'll feel a pain in a certain part
Mhm.
of their body and things of that nature. And so we're like, that energy is
Mhm.
stored there. So I help
Right.
them process through that energy, to
Right.
release that energy. They talk to it. They have this resolution moment with it, because
Mhm.
I refuse to close out a session with you still being tapped into whatever is happening. And that's why my sessions are like 2 hours, 2.5 hours long, just in case, something like that happens. Because once
Right.
I realized that it did happen, I said, okay, wait, I need to prepare for this. And
Right. Right.
so always close out the trauma or whatever comes up from the past life, create some type of resolution.
Absolutely. Yes. Thank you for answering that for me because, like I said, I feel like it's really, really important to be in integrity when you're doing this kind of work. Just like, just like a doctor at a hospital, like you want them to be in integrity with what they're doing and how they practice medicine. It's the same kind of concept. So thank you
Hmm.
for answering that for me. And so, moving on to our next question. So, you have a group called the Butterfly Effect, and I wanted to ask you a question about this. So, as probably most people know, maybe I don't know, the butterfly is a symbol of transformation, right? Um, how have you been able to transform your own life, and what steps did you take in order to get there? And also, what does that look like in that setting for your clients or students, or I don't know if you call them clients or students.
Both.
Both.
It
Okay.
depends on the context. If we're having class, they're my students, clients,
Hmm.
if we're having those personal sessions.
Okay.
Um, but yes, the Butterfly Effect School of Transformation is basically a result of what I went through within my transformation. So that's why one of the pillars is education. So
Hmm.
understanding yourself, understanding who you are. I had to go through that first of understanding who am I at the core. So that's where we got into the human design, understanding my birth chart, understanding my personality type, right? To help get a better and a deeper understanding of first, who am I? And then I didn't just look from a tropical standpoint. I looked at sidereal as well, because
Hmm.
sidereal is more of the non-traditional, but I feel like sidereal astrology taps into soul astrology.
Hmm.
And so, by looking at all of those pieces of myself and then analyzing where my life was at then at that moment, I allowed myself the permission to sit in who I was and what I wanted. So, I allowed myself to explore everything. I didn't put any type of stipulations on, oh, no, I can't do that. Or anything that came in my, or I said, "Oh, I'm trying it. Oh, I'm doing it. I'm about to learn about
I
this. Oh,
love
I'm
that. Yes.
And so my transformation came from being I love learning about everything. I love seeing everything, seeing who am I in all of these things and all these situations. And so everything that I teach and everything that I do is something that I did first, is something that I experienced first. And one of the biggest pieces from it all was me shifting from the victim energy to being a creator energy, a
Mhm.
survivor energy, a thriver energy, because oftentimes we feel that life is happening to us. So I had to learn how to transform that to life is not happening to me. I'm a co creator with life.
Mhm.
So I became a co creator with my life in everything that I do, and what I share, what I teach, what I present is all from personal experiences of what I've gone through or how I've transformed myself in that. So the subconscious, the nervous system. And so even now I have people coming to me that's like, how are you able to live wherever you want to? Like, okay, come on, let's sit down and talk about it. A
Right?
few years.
You can do
mindset.
it too.
That part,
Yeah.
right? And so I had to go through it first, right? So I
Mhm.
had to learn how to create a business. I had to learn how to identify what do I want my business to be. And even in that, my business is constantly evolving. I allow myself to constantly evolve. I give myself the permission to change. And so transformation is about change. So you have to be open to change. Never get too stuck on one identity because that identity can change one day. And when you're stuck on that identity, it makes it harder to shift into the next level or the next, phase of that identity. So I give myself the permission to change and to constantly evolve, to constantly shift. And because of that, I allow other people and I teach them how to give themselves the same permission.
Mm. Oh my God, I love that. Like you said, giving yourself permission. It's like we keep waiting for other. I feel like yeah, I don't know, maybe that's something conditioned from childhood or something. It's
It
like
is.
even when we're grown, it's like, is this okay? You know? Like I feel
No,
like
you're
we're
it's
oh
so right. It's all a part
yeah.
of the cycle of trauma. So this is
I
something that I
swear
talk about
it
a
is.
lot
Yeah.
where the systems that we live in, right? We all were born into a role. Well, we were born as a free spirit, but then roles were given to us, right? So you have people who are born in poverty or people who are born here. You have particular roles and things that are placed that you're expected to stay in this box. So
Mm,
everything that happens in your life it reinforces that identity. It
right.
reinforces who you are in that system. So you have to see yourself of who you are in that system and who you've been conditioned to be in the system, and you have to allow yourself to change and step outside of that system and realize, wait, I don't have to stay identified to this. I don't have to allow what happened to me in my childhood to identify who I am now in my adulthood, because I realize all of those things I was placed in certain settings to create me to be this character in this game. But
Mhm.
I can choose to become a playable character and not allow that identity to continue to sit with me or to continue to shift with me in everything that I go into. So it is conditioned in us as a child of this is your role in society. So everything that happens, it keeps you in your role. It keeps you in your box until you decide that you
Right.
want to break out of it.
Absolutely. And I work with a lot of women, mostly women in my business, and I see so many of them say like you said, just like we've been talking about, they need permission for some reason outside of themselves. And then they almost feel this sense of guilt or shame because they're like, "Oh man, I just feel like I'm being selfish, or I feel like I'm doing this or doing that," because they're doing something for themselves for once. They've probably never done it their whole life, and they do something for once, and they're like, and they just like internalize all of that, and it's heartbreaking, and it
It's
and
the
it,
reason why they attack women first.
yeah,
Women are the creators, the pure creators of we give life,
yeah,
Our bodies are whether you choose to give life or not. I'm child free, but
mhm,
I still know that the energy of the woman and the portal of a woman in the world, even from a spiritual standpoint, we are that mediation to the spiritual world.
yes,
It's through that feminine energy.
mhm,
So, of course, to be able to control a woman, I need to control you in your freedom and your understanding of your power and what you
yes,
have. When being selfish as a feminine, as a divine feminine is actually your power, you being exclusive, you doing what you're meant to be that. But
right,
if we're in systems that are created to feel lesser than or feel like this is what your role is, to feel like oh you're being oppressed in this or you're stuck in these systems, and so that subconsciously starts to sit with you, and you're like I know I need to be outside of this box, but I'm in this system right now, right?
mhm,
And that's why I feel like we're in a season where a lot of women are starting to break out of that as well, though. They're starting to break out of those mindsets and the systems that have placed them into certain boxes that basically was controlling their power, that was
right,
siphoning their power for their good. So it's
right.
like taking back your own power.
Right, and like you said, they pit us against each other all the time, and here's some okay, this is another sub thing, but I've always found it so interesting. Sometimes you'll be on TikTok or something and you'll find, some drama, like messy talk is what they call it, and this, you'll have a man and he'll cheat on his wife or his girlfriend or whatever with another woman, and she'll be mad at the woman. It's like, and she probably didn't even know, And
Mm-hmm.
she's like, I got played just like you got played, but they'll be mad at each
Mm-hmm.
other and they'll go after each other instead of the guy who was the one held responsible, some kind of situation like that. I'm not talking about anybody in particular, but you know what I mean. It's like
Mm-hmm.
that is a perfect example of how they set us up to fail
The
because
scarcity. The
yeah.
scarcity tactics and
Mhm.
the feeling that we have to be connected to someone else to be whole. So
Right.
that whole saying of, "Oh, you're my better half." You're no, how about you be whole and they're
Right.
whole, and
Right.
now you have two,
Right.
Um,
We can be whole
but
together.
we're conditioned to feel that, our power is just in having children, is just in
Yeah.
being married, is just in having a man or a partner and whatever that looks like,
Mhm.
without realizing our power is in unity of us being in our feminine, right? And if a relationship or marriage comes with that, cool. But you have so much self-respect within yourself that you wouldn't dare, because when we fight against other women, we're fighting against ourselves.
Right. Exactly. And they know how powerful we could be and the changes we could make in this world if we came together. That's why I'm all about like straightening another queen's crown. I'm like, come on, girl, let's do this together. Let's build this community together.
The world
Yeah.
adjusts to the energy of women. When women are, if everyone is angry, upset, the world and the environment around us feel it. And that we
Mhm.
see it in homes, right? They say happy wife, happy life, right?
Right.
A woman's energy is the foundational catalyst of the home and the world. And so it's so important for us to take control of our energy. So when we have things happening on TV, or they're trying to push certain agendas to make you mad, to make you angry, to do, it's another type of siphoning your energy to take
Right.
that power away from you and what you have the power to do. Because we can really change this thing. We done seen it happen, the power of when women come together,
Mhm.
but then they start calling, oh, witches, and like it's a bad thing, right? So it made people
Right.
not want to
Yeah.
tap into that part of themselves.
Right. It's so no, it's just like, and I'm not laughing at you, I'm just, like, laughing at the whole concept, it's so ridiculous. It's like, "Really?
Hmm.
Really?" Like, it's not 1582, like, come on, you know? Can we just get past that now, thanks,
And they still do it. They
And they
still do
do,
it.
and
Now,
do.
when I see it, I laugh just like you did and be like, okay, next.
You're like, "Thank you, I need that laugh today, and then I can go about my day." Oh my gosh, it's so true, it's so real, so, so the premise of this question is, all of you guys, we need to come together. Stop being ratchet. Like, let's help each other. Um,
Exactly.
and this question, in our pre-interview, I did not include this question, but I want to ask it anyway.
Okay.
Okay, who is someone that has deeply inspired you in your life and why?
Oh, I feel like every season. So, as a reflector, I use everyone as inspiration. I use every connection that I have as inspiration. But if I was to say there was one person, it was definitely my grandmother. She was like my
Mhm.
twin. She was the one person who she rooted for me in everything. She was the one who told me, "Don't you focus on getting married, having kids. Focus on you. Travel, go to school." Do what you want to do. She put
Mm,
that in me, and I didn't understand until I got older why she did, because for me and my energy, I needed to have that freedom for what it was that I wanted to accomplish and do. And so at the core of who I am, and it's so interesting because she was a Libra and I'm an Aries, so that opposite energy there balanced it out. But her energy allowed me to give myself permission to be selfish, to choose myself first, and to choose experiences. And so now I treat everything and everyone as inspiration. So I have a breakup. Cool. It's inspired me to write a poem. It's inspired me to write a book and make some money.
mhm.
Um, I allow everything that I go through, everyone that I come in contact with, because I feel like we're all mirrors. And
Yes.
so I allow myself to see, well, who are you mirroring to me? Who are you a reflection of when it comes to me? And I allow that to be the inspiration to see myself deeper, but then
Mhm.
also to see, you know, what I may need to work on or what I may need to do. So at the core, it's my grandmother, but I use everything and everyone as inspiration. If I feel like you don't come into someone's life for no reason, whether if it's just for one day, a week, or whatever the case is, they're there as a reflection and a mirror to you of something. You get what I'm saying?
Yes.
And so I use that as my inspiration because I'm literally just a makeup of the world, you know, a makeup of all different pieces that create a puzzle.
Oh, man. I'm so glad I asked that question. That's amazing. And it sounds like your grandma was ahead of her time.
She really was, and I appreciate her because she was raising me to be the first, I would say the first free woman in my family.
Mm.
The first woman who was able to the first business owner, the first doctor, um, the first one who, you know, I'm child free by choice. She had her first child before she even graduated high school, right? And
Mhm.
every woman in my family by this age had multiple children. So me having just the choice of what I want to do and how I want to do it, where I'm not saying I'm against marriage, I'm not saying I'm against children, but
Mhm.
I know the sense of self preservation. And if I allow it into my life, it has to benefit my life. I don't see me seeking an outside source to benefit my life because I know I'm whole by myself. And so I feel like from her experiences, from my ancestors' experiences, it helped me see how, like, that's why I said I'm their living altar. So, in a way, they're living and experiencing through me and through that freedom and knowing that I have the choice. So, whatever is right for me is right for me.
Oh my God, that's incredible. And that's like when you were talking, I was like, that's true Aries energy. Like that's like the highest octave of Aries right there. Like she is living out loud. She makes no apologies. She's the
Yeah, look, I
first,
have a
you
book
know.
that's called Live Out Loud. Look,
Are
my
you
second
serious?
book is called Live Out Loud. Yes.
I need to read it. That's so great. I
I'll
love
definitely
that.
send you the link to it.
Okay,
Yes.
cool. Cool. Please do. Awesome. Oh my gosh, this conversation like gave me life. I am so glad that we connected finally. This was beautiful. Thank you so much for everything. And my final question is please tell everybody how they can connect with you.
Yes, you can find me. My website is monicole.com. Now, I am on YouTube with Doctress Monica Nicole, and I'm also on Substack with My Check Baggage, where I have a travel blog too. So I do some of everything, but everything can be found on my website at monicole.com, including my books, The Butterfly Effect School of Transformation. Enrollment opens for our next semester on March 3rd, and that goes into April 15th. And I have ongoing enrollment that's available for those who just want the self-paced option. For those who want more of the community option, I do it in cohorts because I want us to start together, you know, and not have people
Right.
just rotating in and out. And so if you're looking for a cohort or a community of women to grow with, evolve with, shift with into your highest self by creating your own spaces and creating your life the way you would like to, definitely feel free to check us out and join us.
Fabulous. Yes, everybody please check out all of this amazing juicy goodness. It feels so nourishing. I
You
love that.
blushing.
And thank you so much, Mo. This was incredible. Thank you, everyone who joined us today. I would love to have you back, actually,
I would
in the
love to come
future.
back. I enjoyed
Yes,
this.
I feel like we could go down so many paths with everything that we talked about.
And I love to talk. Okay.
Yeah.
So just let me know when you're ready.
Yes, awesome. And thank you, everyone, for joining us. And I hope you have a blessed rest of your week.